You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
That'll be the script. Script reads me.
Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trying to be responsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 We trade actors, motherfucker.
Hey, good day to you all. Welcome to the new. I'm your host, Randy Perham. So, I have my my little miniature co-host here with me today. He's refusing to take his nap, but he'll probably drop off to sleep here somewhere midway through the show. But anyways, did y'all know that clip that I play every time from Tropic Thunder? Did you know that Robert Downey Jr. is this guy playing blackface? Well, in blackface, being a black person. So I don't know if a lot of people knew that or not. A lot of people thought that. I had a conversation a couple weeks ago about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring that up on the show. But yes, that's Robert Downey Jr. playing a black guy in Tropic Thunder. Check it out. So, but anyways, hope y'all had a great weekend. It is still an extended weekend for many of you, or many of us. Well, I'm on an extended weekend every day, but nonetheless, I hope y'all enjoying your Mother's Day. Wow, flashback. Your Labor Day weekend, and staying out of trouble and doing great things. Yesterday, I had the esteemed privilege to be part of the English Defense League's radio show out there in the UK. We was doing a 9/11 remembrance show. And amazingly enough, it's been 20 years since 9/11. Now I'm doing my version or my own 9/11 show today because on Friday I would not be here, so I'm covering my tribute to 9/11 today. So that is what it is. But 20 years ago, 9/11 happened. What were you doing 20 years ago on 9/11? Me personally, I was stationed in Germany. I was stationed in Buttingen, Germany, and it's part of 11 Cav, which is a 1st Squadron, 1st United States Cavalry, a heavy cavalry squadron. I was part of, I want to say it was 4th Brigade at the time. Can't remember exactly which brigade we was in, but I think it was 4th Brigade. But anyways, I was getting ready to go home for the day, and then I was out back with the fellas, shooting the breeze, having some fun, talking crap, you know, like us soldiers do. And next thing you know, because we had a clinic right next door to our headquarters building, and a whole bunch of people just start running out screaming and carrying on, you know, and they were just like, oh my God, we're under attack. And we were thinking it was some kind of exercise that they were doing. They were just doing like some kind of trauma, because they did those kind of things. And so we were just kind of like, yeah, okay. But it was like, it's kind of late in the day for them to be doing this. They should have been doing this morning. And so that was kind of off for us. And so one of the guys that came out, he was like, hey, yo, man, the New York City just got hit. And we was like, what? And so we kind of like ran over into the clinic there to watch to see what was going on the TV. Got a little snapshot of that. Ran back over to our building and got up on the 1st floor there and to the commander in 1st Sergeant's office there and told them to turn on the TV because they was watching whatever they were watching. But they immediately just told us to get, you know, everybody together that we can. And at the time I was an armorer, so I was in charge of the arms room, and so we got the 5 W's, issued weapons, and we started pulling guard duty around our little base there, our little concern, and sent a dispatch of guys out into the city, or to the little town that, you know, we was part of, and to help the police, the local police there, pull guard on the sensitive, you know, facilities like the courthouse and police stations and stuff like that. So we did that for a few days and came back, and we started getting the nuts and bolts as to what was going on, and we started preparing to deploy. But because we was a heavy brigade, we didn't deploy. We subsequently did not deploy to Afghanistan. We later on in 2003, April of 2003, we deployed to Iraq, to Baghdad, Iraq, and relieved the 37 Cav from there. So that was pretty much what I was doing on 9/11. But it was a chaotic time. I tell you, I'll never forget it. You know, as long as I live, I'll never forget what went down that day, and just the chaos. We couldn't go home because we had to pull guard duty and stuff like that. So trying to call back home, you just mind you, 20 years ago, the type of cell phones we had back then, and flip phones, and you know, it was called handies. So, you know, just had that basic phone, you know. So trying to get through to call home, and then you got the United States calling you, people, you know, from the state side calling, and so it bogged down the cell lines, the phone lines, pretty bad for a couple of days there. So, you know, it was hit or miss. You got through. Sometimes your call got cut off, you know, and so, and back then we even still had payphones. So it was, you know, trying to get to a phone that was operational by any means necessary was a thing, and but we got through that, and subsequently here we are 20 years later. We're still dealing with some of the deployments over in that region. You know, we still got Iraq. We still have soldiers in Iraq. We still got people over in Pakistan and other locations, all in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Global War on Terrorism, and everything else. So that's that. But speaking of operations, yesterday the news broke that there were 6 planes with Americans and Afghans being held hostage by the Taliban over in Afghanistan. Come today, there is an update saying that the State Department is holding them up. Now, I can't even give any credence to that because allegedly the United States all pulled out. So how is it possible that the State Department is back over there and holding up these 6 planes? Now, granted, it was reports from the Taliban saying that it's not them, it's the State Department. But nonetheless, we have 4, whatever the number is, of planes with Americans and SIV, Afghan refugees, and a host of other people probably on these planes, still sitting in Afghanistan, trying to get out and being held up. So more to follow on that as that story develops. If I get some breaking news during one of the breaks or something like that on any updates on that, I'll be sure to let you know that. But back on 9/11, history repeats itself, because what we're seeing is a paradigm shift going on. We have the southern border open. We're bringing in Afghan refugees, some not refugees, coming in, and we're flooding the country with all these foreign nationals, in which 90% of them are not even haven't been vetted and given clearance to be in the United States. Some have been purportedly caught as terrorists, part of terrorist cells and terrorist groups, and coming into the United States from the southern border. And so it's just a matter of time before we have another 9/11 type attack on home soil, on U.S. soil, happening in the United States. It's just a matter of time, and I would not be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up something happening on 9/11 itself. I wouldn't be surprised, because just look at the lackadaisicalness of the security measures in place in bringing in people from other countries into the United States. Even the homegrown terrorists, I'm not going to exclude them as well. They're going to use this opportunity to make a name for themselves as well. They're going to probably be either in concert with, or they're going to try to do this as a lone wolf type of operation, where there will be an attack on the United States again. So I wouldn't put it past the fact that this could be something that will occur very soon. But folks, for right now, let's just hope and pray that peace in the U.S. is maintained, and that things are going to be okay. But taking you back to 9/11 on that special day, the second day that will live in infamy, in the famous words of FDR, when he's in regards to the attack on Pearl Harbor, how this day will live in infamy. 9/11 will be that second day that will live in infamy. And here's an interview stretching back to that time period of a firefighter that gives a recount as to what he went through during that time.
Al, it is such a pretty morning, isn't it?
Perfect fall morning. Yeah.
We have a breaking news story to tell you about. Apparently, a plane has just crashed into the World Trade Center here in New York City.
2 separate aircraft have struck the 2 towers of the World Trade Center.
There's been a declaration of war by terrorists on the United States.
That was the last we saw of the World Trade Center.
The outlook is very, very grim.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack.
I was on my hands and knees. I could hear the tower picking up momentum, and I'm braced for it, and I'm ready to die. I'm Clarence Singleton, and I'm a 9/11 survivor. It's not easy being a firefighter. It's some grueling, tough work. I retired from the New York City Fire Department August 30th of 2000. On the morning of September 11, 2001, I heard that a plane struck the tower. I didn't think anything of it until I heard a second announcement.
There were many people in the building.
Oh, another one just hit. Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on the shot.
I donned a fire department t-shirt, a pair of boots to go over to the scene. One of my sons called, and he was begging me, "Daddy, don't go, you're retired." But I still had this pull. I just felt compelled to go. When I got to the scene, it was like a ghost town, and the ground was covered with debris. There was ladies' purses, shoes, clothing, you name it. It was on the ground, and there was this thick layer of dust. As I was going into the area, I met the police commissioner, the fire commissioner, their little entourage. They were covered in dust, and they were leaving the scene. My inner voice told me, Clarence, stay here and work with these guys. I stayed working with them. We were extinguishing fires around the perimeter of the building.
Well, this is the worst I've ever seen.
As we were working right here, it doesn't seem as if the tower was that far away on September 11, I guess because it was so tall. We heard this loud bang like something let go, and we didn't look up. We stared at each other. We heard it again. Bang, really loud bang.
The other tower of the World Trade Center has just collapsed. You are looking at live pictures of the second twin tower at the World Trade Center collapsing.
We bolted, we ran, moving so fast. I was on the ground. I was skidding along because I knew I was in a collapse zone. I was on my hands and knees, and I could hear the tower picking up momentum as I get closer to the ground. And I'm braced for it, and I'm ready to die, and it was peaceful. I saw 3 or 4 EMS workers heading my way, covered with dust, and they put me in the ambulance, and I was feeling stupid, really, because I came to help, and now it took people out of service to help me. I was transported to St. Vincent's Hospital in Lower Manhattan. After the doctor snapped my arm back into place, left the hospital, and I went back down to the site.
At Ground Zero today, firefighters on the front line still spraying the smoldering wreckage more than a day after the explosion.
I used to ask my friends if I was dead or alive because I wasn't really sure. All of them told me, said, Clarence, I assure you that you are alive. From my firehouse, we lost 5 firefighters, all great guys. I mean, these guys would do anything for you to rescue you. They would do anything to come get you. Why them? Why did they make the supreme sacrifice and not me? After September 11, I was in bed. I'm injured, and I'm in physical and emotional pain. I couldn't hold conversations with people. My memory was terrible from the trauma. Wasn't able to prepare meals for myself. Hardly was able to do anything for myself. It was just a rough time in my life. And I would take the train across the bridge, and I just couldn't look in the area where the towers were because I could see my friends and co-workers, you know, I could envision them falling through the rubble. I guess I kind of shield myself from things that happen at the World Trade Center, which doesn't really work. I see tall buildings on TV, my mind goes back to the World Trade Center. If I'm driving in my car and see dust, you know, my mind goes back to the World Trade Center. Every time I look at my clock, I see 9/11. I just seem to look at it at that particular moment. Still doesn't get any easier, but I'm aware of what's going on with me so I can more or less control it. It's always emotional because it brings back a lot of memories from friends that I've lost and a very tragic moment in our history. I've been feeling this way for the past, almost 17 years, but I just learned to live with it, you know? But it's very emotional for me. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to hold back the tears, you know. After the collapse, I stayed in New York for about 5 years, but it was really difficult living here. So I relocated to Virginia for a more peaceful lifestyle, and I found it. Jean and I, we have a great relationship. She supports me totally. We were married on the 11th anniversary of the collapse at 11 in the morning on September 11, and her birthday is September 11. I put something in place of something tragic, and so she is a godsend. When people stop remembering us, that's when we truly perish. And I think as long as we keep the memories in the forefront, it also keeps the person alive. I don't live in fear. Whatever I have to do, I do it. I'm not going to let terrorists or anybody else determine how I'm going to live my life. If I'm afraid to do certain things, then they win. And in my case, no, you're not going to win. I didn't give up. Even when there was a very little light at the end of the tunnel, don't give up.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Wow. I keep forgetting about this mic. Our Reach One campaign. Tune into a show or all of the shows throughout the week and provide us feedback. Let us know how we're doing and what's going on. And be sure to tune in next week at 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern to Tiffani Jones' new show. And Behind the Lines with Tiffani Jones. And let us know how we're doing. Yep. Alphonso David, a former legal advisor to Andrew Cuomo and current president of the Human Rights Campaign, he's came under fire this week because in case you don't know what the Human Rights Campaign is, it's the largest gay rights organization in the United States. But he came under fire this week because the board of advisors there requested that he would resign because of his actions with Governor Cuomo, advising him about the sex scandals he was facing. Although the board did their independent investigation and found that he did nothing wrong, the perception of his involvement with the governor was enough for them to warrant requesting his resignation. He refused to resign. He took it to Twitter saying, although I did nothing wrong, they acknowledged I did nothing wrong. They want me to resign for the optics of everything, so I refuse to do so. Now, this is like a strange story, because if he did nothing wrong, and because he was associated with the governor, you want to cancel the guy. This is like the weirdness of the left. They kind of like, this is the way they eat their own. They want to cancel people because you're guilty by association. Not that you did anything wrong, but because you were part of the team, part of the staff, part of, advising, whatever the role you may have had, but you did nothing illegal, immoral, or unethical. In a sense, advising somebody of how to handle a scandal is not necessarily illegal or immoral, but nonetheless, you want to take the heat off of your organization by getting rid of the guy when you immediately said he did nothing wrong. Weird. Very weird. But nonetheless, it's also hypocritical, because here we have, all these scandals that are starting to surface from those on the left, and the calls for resignations, the calls for to go to jail and everything else, that is completely ignored by those on the left. But as soon as somebody on the right does it, oh my God, we can't live it down for anything. And so it's weird, but it's a thorn in the side for those on the right, for conservatives, Republicans on the right, because we cave into that kind of pressure. We cave into, calls for resignations. We try to hold ourselves accountable a little bit beyond the pale of what those on the left do, because they say so. Not because we actually feel morally convicted, but because of the pressure. Now, just imagine if somebody on the right did some of these things and they said, nope, I'm not resigning, just get over it. The story is dead at that point. There may be, those onesie and twosies still trying to attack, but at the end of the day, the story is dead and people move on, because they're like, okay, well, we tried, and it's whatever. But I would say kudos to David, Alphonso David, for standing his ground. But nonetheless, if the board tells you to resign, they're going to get rid of you one way or the other at the end of the day. But because he took it to Twitter and he made it public and everything else, they may just back off and leave him alone. But more to come on that, I guess you could say. So, in other fantastic news, oh man, Lil Nas X. I tell you, this guy, Lil Nas X, is pregnant. No, not really, but he put on this thing where he's promoting his new album, and he's calling that album his baby. So I just let you watch the video.
Lil Nas X is expecting. Well, kind of.
The blessings are literally knocking me out at this point.
The latest blessing is the rapper's debut full-length studio album, Montero.
When I'm back up at the top, I wanna hear you say, you don't run from nothing, dog.
Lil Nas X announced his album will drop on September 17th, and the news came with these. Yup, the musician did a full-on maternity shoot to celebrate his baby, sporting a prosthetic bump, flower crown, and even sharing a sonogram. He also posted this reveal to TikTok.
Don't forgive and love away, but I want someone to love me. I need.
Lil Nas X explained the idea was born, no pun intended, out of a conversation he had with his stylist. Quote, she was like, wow, this all comes together. Your album, your baby. I was like, yeah, this is my baby, huh? As a joke, she was like, yeah, you should do a pregnancy shoot. And, well, now we have these pics.
It's amazing.
Lil Nas X's photo shoot comes just days after he kinda trolled fellow rapper Drake's latest album launch. After Drake shared the cover art for Certified Lover Boy, a series of emojis depicting pregnant women. The Call Me By Your Name singer posted this memified version featuring pregnant men.
And I'm just like extremely thankful and happy.
Now this whole pregnancy thing doesn't stop there, because on Thursday, Lil Nas X tweeted to his followers, "Let me get offline. All of this negative energy is not good for the baby." And there's more Lil Nas X news where that comes from. Not only is he releasing his own record, but he's also featured on Elton John's new album.
I mean, these kids are rocking it.
On Wednesday, Elton revealed details about the lockdown sessions, the track list featuring a series of collaborations with A-list talent, again, including Lil Nas X. Which doesn't come as a huge surprise, because back in May, the Rocket Man singer told E.T. this.
And of course, Lil Nas X, who is a hero of mine.
Yeah. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. You know, I get it. You know, it's the entertainment industry, and these are things that they do in the entertainment industry to garner attention, to promote their image, their brand, and all that good stuff. I get all that. I'm tracking. However, when you're promoting the emasculation of men by displaying that you're pregnant because you're a guy and you're pregnant for whatever reason, it could be promoting an album, it could be promoting a new idea, a new birth of you, or a new birth of something, whatever it is, it gets a little out of whack, if you will. Now, I'm trying to find something here on my Kindle, because I was reading last night, and this passage I came across was very particular and poignant to what I'm talking about right now. Because China has decided that they're going to ban anything gay. Yes, you heard me correct, folks. China is on the wavelength now of banning anything that's displaying homosexuality, soft guys, emasculation of men, and all that good stuff. So this puts the world in a very, very vicarious place, because now China has done this with the LBGTQ plus movement spreading across the world. How will other world leaders respond to China doing this? How will the United States particularly respond to this? Here's a short answer. They're going to ignore it. Why? Because it's China. The United States at one point in time in our young history was a hegemony in the world, meaning that, you know, we're kind of like revered to be the bomb. Okay, and I'm fine. Let me just go back through here. And so it doesn't take much. I found it. It doesn't take much history to understand that it repeats itself. It doesn't take much understanding of history to understand that it repeats itself, rather. So, in this passage in this book that I'm reading, Sapiens, it says, "Today is no different." Now, mind you, this book was written a few years back. Today is no different. Are we out of the global economic crisis, or is the worst still yet to come? Will China continue growing until it becomes the leading superpower? Will the United States lose its hegemony? Is the upsurge of monotheistic fundamentalism the wave of the future, or a local whirlpool of little long-term significance? Are we heading towards ecological disaster or technological paradise? Now, you probably say, what the hell does all that mean? So, in other words, we're looking at China being in the forefront of a lot of things that's going on around the world. They even just announced that they're looking to recognize and partner with the Taliban. The United States is sitting back, with the Afghanistan disaster. A lot of our partner allies countries are now starting to say, the United States can't be trusted, can't be relied on anymore. So they're looking at forming their own alliances, to strengthen up their own defense and their insecurity. So where does the United States actually fall in this paradox that we're seeing? Well, I will tell you, at the bottom, we have sunk to the bottom. And it should be no surprise to anyone, because this has been a package unwrapping itself for the last couple of decades, easily the last couple of decades. We've seen with the annex of Crimea through Russia, the United States did nothing about that. We see the attacks from the Assad regime in Syria with chemical weapons. The United States did nothing but throw some threats out there and whatever. And so the United States has slowly scaled back its presence in the world, which, in a sense, on the other side of things, it's okay to allow countries and other partners to deal with things that's going on in those environments. But at the same token, there should be still a United States presence involved, and some leadership provided with these things, and that has been lacking, very much so. And now we're seeing we're on the cusp of not only losing allies, but we're pushing them away by not standing up and taking up the mantle on these things. So going back to the China ban on softness, hey, I don't know what to tell you, but I will let them tell you.
As part of a crackdown on what China considers vulgar, immoral, and unhealthy content, the government's new regulations ban depictions of gay people on TV. One of the first victims of these new regulations was a show called Addicted, which featured two men in gay relationships. The show was pulled from Chinese streaming sites last week. The new rules are a part of the continued effort by Chinese President Xi Jinping to limit what the country's media produce. In a 2014 speech, Xi stressed art must serve a social purpose and encouraged socialist artwork. It's not just gay relationships that are being banned from TV, though. Smoking, adultery, suggestive clothing, and even things like witchcraft and reincarnation are at issue under the new guidelines. Over the past 2 decades, the LGBT community has made a lot of progress towards social acceptance in China. However, stigma remains. In 2013, 61% of people polled in China said homosexuality wasn't acceptable. But many in the gay community say the new guidelines aren't in line with the social progress in China, which decriminalized homosexuality in 1997. For Newsy, I'm Micah.
There's a catchphrase he just said. Many of the people in China, 51%, don't agree with homosexuality. And those in the LBGTQ community there are saying that this is, this law is going against the progress that was being made there. Understand, folks, you're talking about 1997, before Xi Jinping came to power. Now that he's in power, he's been in power since 2013. You're trying to press an ideology that was once accepted, and the people are no longer accepting it, and the president is listening to these people and taking action accordingly. I'm not saying accordingly like I agree with it, but accordingly, based on, what the people are saying. So this also kind of transcends outside of China, because if China is doing something like this, Russia's been doing this kind of stuff. The Taliban, hello, they're not playing around with this LBGTQ stuff either. They're killing people as we speak right now. They're going door to door, taking people out for helping Americans, for being gay, for being a non-conformist to their ideologies and everything else. So if China and the Taliban are deciding to, partner up eventually, what does that say to the rest of the world? Will the rest of the world follow suit and say, you know what, time for the LBGTQ folks to go back into the closet? Because that's what subsequently will happen if we continue down this path. Folks, another passage from this book. So why study history? Unlike physics or economics, history is not a means for making accurate predictions. We study history not to know the future, but to widen our horizons, to understand that our present situation is neither natural nor inevitable, and that we consequently have many more possibilities before us than we imagine. For example, studying how Europeans came to dominate Africans enable us to realize that there is nothing natural or inevitable about the racial hierarchy, and that the world might well be arranged differently. Now, with that being said, it doesn't negate the fact that things that once transpired in history, throughout history, won't resurface because it's nothing new. Nothing that China is doing right now is anything new. They once banned these kind of things before. They kind of said, okay, we're going to relax the laws and we'll let people do what they want to do. New leadership comes in and I got negative GI. We're not doing that. So history is repeating itself. We look at what's going on in Afghanistan and how the United States exited out of there, creating this now hostage crisis that's going on. This is another reminder of what happened, exactly what happened with the evacuations and everything in 1979 under the Carter administration. So folks, we have to pay attention. We have to pay attention to history, learn from it, in order to not repeat these same mistakes. Now, it's unfortunate and it's sad to see that, China is taking its place, or trying to take a place, as a superpower in the world. But what can we expect when you have United States? You have a leadership in the United States that is weak as hell. You have partners around the world who are trying to deal with not only their own home country issues, but they're trying to deal with foreign affairs issues in reliance to the United States. And they can't even rely on us. So they're sitting back like, and screw that. Let them handle their own business then. But that trickles over into their countries. They become influenced by it. They react or become assimilate to that influence. And now we're sitting back alone in a large room trying to figure out what our place is, what we're going to do, and how we're going to handle things. We're looking at a economic disaster in our country right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't make this stuff up. Inflation is going up. Jobs, for some reason, there are jobs available, but nobody wants to go back to work. Now the all these stimulus and unemployment checks and stuff like that, that's about to end. Now people are trying to scramble to get jobs once again, but they're not getting hired. Why? Because you once was making $18, $25 an hour. Now these 2 million plus immigrants that came in from the southern border, this 80,000 Afghans and what have you just came in from Afghanistan. They're taking up those jobs for $10 an hour. And oh, by the way, the local government and the United States government is taking care of them with other needs. So, folks, I've been talking about this for a quite a while now, for a long time, that you need to wake up and pay attention to what's going on. Everybody just sitting back like, oh, it's okay, we can have open borders, and no, you know, we're a loving country. And yeah, all that is great, good, and dandy. That is true. We are a loving country, and we are a welcoming country, and we welcome you to come. However, comma, we have to take care of ourselves, and whatever's left over, have at it. But folks, this is where we at right now. When you put it all into one cup and you drink it, you having a whole bunch of different flavors you're digesting, because right now our country's in a mess and people are just sitting back lollygagging ignoring it, or trying to justify it because it doesn't directly affect them. Those that are being directly affected by this, they're speaking up, they're standing up, they're talking about it, but they're being suppressed, censored, and castigated on, because that's not what's mainstream right now. Even the mainstream legacy media outlets are not covering some of the things anymore as to what is going on in our country. Have you not paid attention to that? Stop watching CNN. Stop watching Fox. Stop watching OAN, MSNBC, and all that. Start looking at these little podcasters, these YouTube guys, TECN TV. We're going to tell you what's going on around the world, around the country, in your neighborhood. We're going to tell you, because we're the ones that's on the ground seeing it and understanding it. And we got nothing to benefit from by talking about it or not talking about it. When these legacy media outlets are being in cahoots of suppressing stories and everything else, you know they are the enemy. Period. YouTube for the last 2 weeks now has put censors onto my shows that I upload on YouTube. I just got another message this morning that my show from Friday has been restricted to had an age restriction placed on it. Probably because I was talking about guns and showing my gun and stuff. Maybe. Who knows? But it's saying that I was advocating violence. No, I didn't. I don't think I did. I don't know. But nonetheless, these are the things that we see that's going on right now. When you have the media outlets suppressing stories, not reporting certain things, you know they are the enemy. You know they are working against the American people. You don't have to agree with it. The proof is in the pudding. Now, ask yourself, did you know that China did this? Do you know the second and third order effects behind that? Like I said, the United States and other countries around the world, they have a decision to make in the coming days as this unfolds. The Taliban holding Americans hostage, or the State Department, whoever it is. We still have Americans in Afghanistan trying to leave and come home. Regardless of what the circumstances are behind it, we have Americans in Afghanistan trying to come home. Hello. And they are in a country, a hostile country, controlled by a terrorist organization. 1979 all over again. But no one wants to really speak on that. But these are all overlapping events. What is to come if these very Americans and allies that are over there with them start getting killed? What are we going to do when China decides to go on some kind of extermination mission, wiping out people in the LBGTQ community over there because they're trying to do an uprising or protest against the laws? These are things you have to think about. We see it right now here on the home front in the United States. We have companies working diligently against the American people with vaccine requirements and everything else, and people are just sitting back, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take the vaccine because I don't want to lose my job. Man, if you don't look, folks, you can have 1776 all over again, or you can have 1984. Your choice. Folks, that is all the time I have today with you all. You can catch me on Twitter, Parler, MeWe. I got Parler working again. MeWe, Gab, Getter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Caucus Room. And what else am I playing on now? Yeah, I think that's it. At rperm. And you can also, if you'd like to be a guest on a show or a sponsor on the show, you can hit me up at rperm@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to set you up and hook you up like a tow truck. And if you want to contribute to the show, contribute to my campaign, you can do so through Cashapp, $, capital RPURHAM, the number 4 US.com. Also on PayPal at rperm4us. And you can go to my website, www.rperm4us.com, and check out my platform, donate, sign up for newsletters, sign up to be a volunteer, all that good stuff, because we're going to make Alaska great again, and we're going to make America great again. That is the goal, that is the aim, and that is the mission. Folks, tune in, come back here at 3 o'clock at TECN TV.com. Check out Global Impact with David McQuill out of Africa. And like I said, next Tuesday, you will be catching the new show with Tiffani Jones, Behind the Lines with Tiffani Jones on TECNTV.com at 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Central Time, 11 p.m. Eastern. And and tonight, you can catch the Exceptional Conservative Show with Kim and Clinton at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. I think I covered everybody. There are a couple of hosts that are taking a break right now due to different things, different projects and different issues that they have going on. But other than that, you can hang out here for the next hour or two, or you can go on about your day, because I plan on doing something for the first time ever. I'm going to experiment with some oxtails by grilling them. I got them defrosting right now, season them up. Then my grandson goes back home, and I'm fire up the grill and see what happens, see how those turn out, because I never had grilled oxtails. And April and I was discussing that last night. She was like, I don't think you can grill oxtails. I'm like, you can grill anything. At the end of the day, grilling was like the first means and mechanisms of cooking stuff. You slap that joker over some fire, boom, go for it. So we're gonna see how that turns out. If I remember, next Monday I will have an update for you about that. But other than that, Friday I will not be here once again. Gotta get my eyes fixed. Gotta get my annual eye exam in, so I'll be taking care of that. And other than that, I think I covered everything, and yeah, good to go. Y'all take it easy. God bless you all. See you all next Monday, and enjoy your Labor Day. Take care. God bless.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.